Apostle Parker, Sister Pastor James Dorner. It is Father's Day month.
Yes, sir.
We get
That's our 30 days.
Yeah,
it's our 30 days.
I don't know if we get 30 days. Listen, we might even get a
full weekend, right?
We might get a full weekend. Nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in. This is our Father's Day month, and we're here representing Father's Day throughout the month of June. And it is very important. These topics are very important because of the landscape in which we're living in, to where, you know, the absence of a father or a father that's present but absent, we can see the effects of it every day with, you know, kids younger and younger, you know, going to jail, going to prison, getting shot, getting killed. You know, that father definitely makes a difference. So, you know, join us every Thursday for the month of June. We're going to be talking about various topics as it pertains to father. Tonight, our topic is father and son. We're going to be hitting on spiritual fatherhood. I think next week our topic is father and daughter. We're going to be hitting on a couple different topics throughout the month of June. So, you know, we're going to take full advantage of celebrating Father's Day for the month of June.
Yes, sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
Because
gotta grab it.
Father's Day is the 21st.
Yes.
It'll from 12 midnight to
11:59.
11:59 in 60 seconds. It's over. It's done. You know, Mother Day commercials, they just keep running and running and running. We get a little spotlight on that day, man.
Grab it.
You know, commercial on tools, and, you know, all that business there. After that is over. It's done. But nonetheless, we thank God for the fathers that are out there, the stepfathers, and even mothers that had to take on the role as a father. Let's not forget them. I was looking at some percentages from the juvenile justice. It says around 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from single-parent or fatherless homes. 70%. In adult prisons, there have been several studies noted, but about 85% of youths in prison grew up without a father present in the home. So these are some staggering figures. But as a father and son, that father-son relationship, tell us a little about your father-son relationship when you was coming up.
My father was very traditional. Very traditional. You respected women. You didn't talk back. You respected neighbors. Sunday was.
Say that again.
You didn't. We even respected your neighbors. Like, we were on our neighbor's dirt pile one time and got whooping because we went on there without asking. Like you just didn't walk through people's yards. Like there was respect, but he did everything. He was very stern. He was quiet. But when he spoke, you listened. And he was very hard as far as how sometimes he would do things, but it was what made you tough, you know. Right. He wasn't, he was raising men, and sometimes we were, in fact, we were just talking, and we had a family wedding not too long ago. And we were telling stories. My sister from Australia, and we were telling stories about my father, and they're like, some of the stuff he did made no sense then, but it makes sense now. Work ethic. Listen. When we got a little older, we were working with him. He had his own business, and we'd be out carousing, doing crazy stuff. Come home, making all. He wouldn't say a word, but come 5 o'clock in the morning, get up. I don't care what you feel like. Put your shoes on, put your belt, and tie them a little bit tighter.
And he was probably from that era and that generation where they was raising men. You better not cry.
No.
You better suck it up.
No. Yeah, there was no emotion. There was no tear. Tear ain't gonna work. I'm tired ain't gonna work. Oh, I don't feel good ain't gonna work. You got up, you did and we always working. Like we would have chores but we had stuff we had to do. As men, we had to do. When there was stuff to do, there was stuff that that the women in the house weren't doing. There was 4 girls, 3 boys, but we carried the load.
Yeah.
But that's the way it's supposed to be. And but he taught us that work ethic, and sometimes that tough love is hard, but when you get older, you realize what he was doing. And now I look at that generation. You talk about so many people nowadays with no father, and I just even look at the difference in the trade. And I watch how the kids are soft and how they don't want to work hard and how they come to work and it's like, oh, I'll get out there and get started when I get ready. And I just want to finish my call. It's a little cold today. It's a little hot today. Like, that doesn't make a difference.
It's like, and I don't want to make nobody mad out there when I say this. It's like the era of basketball, the era of football. They played for a different purpose.
They played with purpose.
You know what I mean?
Like they played with.
And it's not that these guys don't play with purpose. The purpose is just different.
Yeah.
Right. Back then, those guys played. I mean, they came up in a lot of poverty.
Yeah.
They wasn't making a lot of money back then. So their drive for success and the things that they had to do to get success, totally different from today. And so there wasn't no sense of entitlement like it is now.
Yeah.
I'll go to practice when I feel like it.
Right.
I'll go to tour days when I feel like it.
I
go to mini camp when I feel like it.
I'm gonna add to that because you're on to something. You think about this, right? So if you started something, you finished it. If you started a football season, a baseball season, I don't care if you didn't like the coach or not, you finished it. You didn't start something quick. Right? You didn't start, I don't like it here, I'm moving on. Right? Back in those days, some of the greatest athletes would play for teams that never succeeded, but they were dedicated and faithful to where they were put. Right? And they gave everything they had to that. So then you come up and whatever it is you decide to do for a living, you dedicate yourself to that. You make yourself as best as you can at your craft, and you do it.
Which and back to father and son, that relationship. If you have a father that has that kind of dedication, has that kind of drive, right? You see that push, you see that determination, you see him taking care of his family. You see him working hard, right? You have an example before you, right? So, in essence, when, I'll give you a case in point, right? I hated going on jobs with my dad. He would go take me on paint jobs and projects and different things. I hated it with a passion. And I think that either I act like I wasn't paying attention and I was paying attention, or I was paying attention and really didn't want to pay attention because I didn't want to be there.
Right.
But as a result of that, you put me on a ladder now.
Yeah.
I don't need a drop off.
Yeah. I can bear witness to that.
Right.
I can bear witness to that. Yeah.
I can eye something, and with my eye, I can just eye it and be like, yeah, that's off. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it 100 times. Right. So and having that example, set before you is important, because now I didn't like it, but as an adult, when I start working construction, all that came back to me. All of that came back to me, right? I seen him with spackle. He was particular about a spackle knives, right? Like certain knives that I use right now, we done been on projects before. Don't use that for that. That's my cutting knife. That blade is for this, that blade is for that. And
clean them up when you're done.
Clean them up when you're done, And, he had a thing where he said, listen, you wasting paint like that, you ain't painting. He said, you wasting. And he was like the cleanest painter ever. Right? His thing was, you got paint on the ground, you wasting paint. He said painting, it ain't about how much paint you can waste. and thinking you painting. He said, no, there's a skill to it,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was, oh man, it used to be so
But when you're
hard.
young like that, you think like, why are you nagging me? Like, like, come on, stop. The quick example, right? Listen to this. So one time, we used to do a lot of when Burger King first came up.
Mm-hmm.
Every summer we would do one. So there was one night, maybe 10 minutes from the house. So we're summertime with Joe and I working with my dad, and he's like, what do you want to do for lunch? And we're like, can we go home? He's like, sure. So we go home, right? 10 minutes there. So we're home, we're getting all this stuff, we're gonna make this big feast for lunch. Also, we hear the horn, let's go, he's screaming, let's go. Like, we don't even have anything out. We're just trying to grab whatever we can. We run in the truck, we're driving, like, what are you doing? We didn't get a chance to eat. He goes, lunch is 30 minutes. It's 10 minutes here, 10 minutes on home, 10 minutes back.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't work the way it goes. Almost certainly does. And we thought, like, what are you doing? What are you? But he was teaching us something that was valuable. So, like you said, when you get older, now you're accountable. You're on a job. Now you're the man of the house. You're gonna make right. So now I'm not losing momentum because I got shortened at lunchtime or because whatever the contractor says you're only gonna get 30 minutes for lunch,
Well, it's like,
it sounds silly, but it's conditioning.
It creates in you a built-in, it creates in you a built-in clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, remember the time we was here and we was working downstairs.
No, that never happened. That never happened.
Right?
That never happened.
We get here was 3 a.m. 3 o'clock in the morning, and we go downstairs here and we working, right? And then come break time, we ate standing up.
Yeah.
Get done, back working again.
10 minutes. It was like 10 minutes tops.
Scarf it down.
And that's because we both came up with the same type of training. See, they see what we don't see.
Yeah.
And like you talk about, like now father and son, right? As a father, right, we want our sons, right, to not make those mistakes. So we're trying to teach them things, and sometimes it's like you won't understand right now.
Yeah.
Just but as you get older, you start to you feel yourself, you start to smell yourself. You're like, oh, I got this.
And we all went through that course. I went through that course. I know everything. I went through that course of. Oh, Dad, you just old fashioned, different things like that. And you go through that course of thinking that you got it.
Yeah.
And then later on you find out you really don't have it.
Yes, sir.
Or you find out, man, things he said was true. And I found out a lot of things that he said was true. I'm thinking because he a pastor. I'm thinking because he in church. He don't know nothing,
Right.
Oh man, I found out that the things that he shared was really true. It was right on point.
Yeah.
Dead right on point. And I think and for kids who don't have a father, I think that just in society alone, let's say on the job, in the school, in the church, doesn't matter. There are kids who don't have a father, but will look up to you and you not even know it.
Yeah.
We'll look at your work ethic. We'll look at how you carry yourself. We'll look at how you dress. We'll look at your mannerisms and different things like that. Because
they want that.
Yeah.
They want that. They desire it.
Yeah, because even bad influence is influence. Even bad influence is influence.
Remember the commercial back in the day when the guy catches the kid smoking marijuana and he says, "Where did you learn that?" He goes, "From your dad."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can learn anger from your father. You can learn unfaithfulness from your father.
See, I thought, at one time, when I was in school, I always thought that because they always in school, name a positive role model. So I'm thinking all role models are positive.
Right.
Older I get, I find out that all role models are not positive. You have negative role models, right? You have the negative role model that sells drugs, the negative role model that, you're 25, 30 years old, pants down.
Right, the womanizer.
Womanizer.
Right.
Multiple women here, there, you know, on the corner, you know, selling, and it looks glorified.
Yeah.
And that kid is like, yeah, I want to out, and they see the nice car and the girls and all that, and the chains and the money and all of that. And it's like, yeah, I want to be just like that. I want to be just like my uncle. I want to be just like my dad, you know, da-da-da-da. And, you know, and that kind of cycle just is a repetitive cycle that keeps repeating itself. You know, because that's you know, unless they make what they're going to make and get out the game, they're either...
Never happens, though.
Yeah, it's either dead or prison.
Right.
You know, and it's very rare.
There's never enough. Never enough.
Because the more you get, the more you want.
Exactly.
You know, and so from a father-son standpoint, you know, it's difficult as kids age. It's almost like juvenile detention center where they age out. Right? From a father-son standpoint, you know, sometimes kids age out of, you know, wanting to be around that father, wanting to be around their parents and different things like that. They create their own identity, different things like that, to where, you know, they stop listening. You know, they start to get influenced by their peers. They start to get influenced by, you know, their friends and different things like that. You know, and I remember, you know, telling one of my sons, like, listen, you're not being raised by so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, you don't live with so-and-so.
Yeah.
So those rules at so-and-so house, they're not these rules.
Yeah.
You know, so-and-so house don't have a curfew. There's a curfew here. You know, if I'm not out at 12 o'clock, you're not going to be out at 12 o'clock. You know, so setting those parameters and setting, you know, having those standards, and even a standard, there's different standards that come with everything. Yeah. You know, and I was laughing when you started talking about your dad and how strict he was and how hard he was, and you know, respect and, you know, and I'm sitting here like, what happened? Like, where is that today? Yeah. Yes, like, where is that today? Yes, sir. You know, like holding the door for young ladies. And,
they look at you like, what?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Right? I remember I was at the post office one time, and this little elderly lady come walking up, and I mean, she was taking her time, you know, and I stood there patiently and held the door open for her. She said, "Oh my God, where are the men anymore to hold the doors for elderly people like me?" I said, "Ma'am, I don't know, but this is the way I was raised." You know what I mean? And it's like, what happened? Like, you know.
I would show my sons, right? We would be out, and I'd say, "Okay, we're going to hold the door." And I would go in, so I'd say, "You hold the door. If you see a woman, look behind you. If you see a woman come, you hold the door." And they would, "Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, young man." That whatever. And I see that, and they're like, you know, you're teaching them right. So one time there was a woman in a parking lot, and she was trying to load stuff in the back of an SUV. A lot of stuff, heavy. She was struggling with it. So we're walking up. We walk up and we say, "Excuse me, we would like to help you. Can we give you a hand?" She turned around and started up one side of me, down the other. "I don't need your help. You think I'm helpless?" I just looked at them. They looked at me. I didn't know what to say. They got in the trunk. We just said, "All right, well, we out." I said, "Okay, well, you have a blessed day anyway," right? Just regardless, right? Now, I wanted to say something else, but they didn't. So we were driving away, and they're like, "That didn't go so well." I'm like, it doesn't always go that way.
It doesn't always go that way. Clearly.
We don't need your help. But she was struggling, but she refused to let us help her.
I would have been, clearly somebody ticked her off.
Yeah.
You know, clearly she had a bad
experience. Maybe I reminded her
of
something. I don't know.
I don't know. You know, but that father-son dynamic is important, because, you know, I can remember, and I told my boys this. You know, I wasn't always the man I am now. Right.
And I can agree with that.
Myself, was not always the man that I am now.
Myself
included.
Right. Yes.
And I told him, I said, I was trifling. You know. Because when you're young, you only know what you know. Yeah. You know, and you know, it wasn't until I got in church and got saved and got a right mind, you know, that I begin to see things from a totally different landscape.
Yeah.
You know, the accountability,
Mhm.
responsibility, integrity, you know, all those things like that, you know, that help shape, you know, not only your sons, but it shape everybody that you come in contact with, you know. And now I'm seeing, you know, having been in the school district for quite some time now, I see it every day. I see it every single day. And you can tell the absence,
Mhm.
you know, of
I can
that
imagine.
father.
I can only
You know,
imagine.
And, you know, and
You can see when they're walking down the street
yeah,
by how they acting. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
You can see when they're in the store how they're acting.
And the
whether or
thing
not
now,
there's a father figure at home.
yeah, and even now, even if they're home, you know, we don't know if they're present or not.
Oh, true.
You know, and I don't know what made me just think. For whatever reason, I just thought about the boardwalk. I just thought about Ocean City, Wildwood, different things like that. Because of the young teens, there's a lot of restrictions now.
Yeah.
You know.
They shut it down.
Yeah, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, you know,
How many times did you hear, you're going out, you're representing my name?
Yes.
If I get a phone call,
yeah.
I'll be waiting for you at the door.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody knew you. Everybody knew us. You play sports, I play sports. Yeah, everybody knew you. You think someone didn't know you? They won't say nothing.
Yeah.
That phone would ring. They'd be waiting for you when you get to the door. And let me tell you something. That thing would be addressed that moment.
Yeah, when we would take our kids out, we'd take all four. You know, we'd take Naija, Boyan, Xavier, whatever. We'd take them out to breakfast or whatever, and you know they'll be sitting there. We'll be sitting there. And oh my God, they're so well behaved.
Yeah.
You're doggone right they're well behaved.
That's right.
One, there's a belt in the car.
Right.
Two, they got the talk before they left the house.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and you know, even with our goddaughter, you know, same thing, you know, Monty was young back then, but well behaved, well mannered.
Yeah. You can see it in her now.
You know
even
what I mean?
now when she visits, you can see it in her.
Yeah.
She's just so polite and respectful.
Yeah, you know, and now it drives me crazy when a kid is in a restaurant jumping on the
come on
like
I know
and the dad is I'm like dude like what are you doing like you're not gonna handle that like you know and it just like
seen it so many times.
And then you're in the stores and they're running through clothes and
screaming,
you know screaming and yelling and mom is like listen you better come on and you better come on and I'm like no, what are you doing? You know? And so when I was in the classroom, and even now, you know, I would tell my students, if I got to tell you something more than once, we got a problem.
Yeah.
We got a problem.
Yeah.
One time should be suffice.
When a man walks in that authoritative figure, a true authoritative figure, not, you know, just also one day he wants to start screaming at him, but when he walks with that integrity and he walks with that authority, I mean, mothers can discipline, but there's a different type of authority that comes from a man who's really walking in that and wearing that properly, you know. And like you said, but that not being there, there's the I remember my mom would spank us, my mom would whip us with a belt or something, and we would laugh after a while. We started getting a little older, and then he would get home and find out we laughed.
It wasn't funny no more.
It wasn't funny no more. We paid the price for that. Oh, you think it's funny, huh? Okay, I'm gonna show you what's really gonna happen.
Listen.
Right
I tried that with my mom one time.
Yeah.
And my mom was, you know, she wasn't that tall. You know. She told me to go outside and get a switch.
Yeah.
And I was cute. Went outside and got a small switch. Big mistake. Big mistake. Yep. Oh man, you know that Wonder Woman last one?
Yeah.
She got a switch, man, and I declare unto you that thing wrapped around my legs at least twice. Yeah. Big mistake, boy. Big mistake. And I'm being cute. Yeah. And I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna get the smallest switch I can find. Oh man, she went outside, got the biggest switch she could find, and it was over. And just as you were saying, I thought about my dad. My dad, he didn't play sports. You know, coming up in the South, you know, they had to work the fields and, you know, by design they had large families, you know, they help out in the fields and different things like that. And I remember, out in the yard, like he would play catch with us.
Yeah.
With a ball. It wasn't just wasn't into sports, different things like that. He would watch it, and just by him, he never made it to none of my games, right? He had to work, took me to practices sometimes, picked me up, but the mere fact that he will listen to the games on the radio, right? So he would know whether we won or lost. And I would come home and he would say, "Yeah, you lost a tough one." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, you get them next time." He didn't have to say a lot, right? But just him saying that, I was okay with that. I was totally okay with that. Because it was 4 boys, 5 girls. So a lot of the and we was playing football every day. Football, basketball, kickball, something, whatever. But he will always listen to my games on the radio. And, if I came home 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, he'd be like, "Yep, lost a tough one, huh?" Or, like, "Yeah, y'all got him, huh?" "Yeah, we got him." That was good. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I was absolutely okay with that. Because it was...
He's putting that effort in to let you know that it matters to him.
Right. He's working,
pastoring,
taking care of our whole family, all of that, So that was him still, the encouragement, that was him still being concerned.
Yeah.
That was him still, still staying connected to what I was doing, different things like that, and, I just, those things like that, it still matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah.
Like, we wasn't all broke up, he can't never come to my... We wasn't selfish like that, right? We understood the moment is 9 of us. Like today, kids, it could be 2 or 3 kids or 4 kids. And it's like, that entitlement, that, disrespect, different. No. It wasn't none of that business there. It wasn't, I got flipped the first mouth a couple times with my mom.
Once.
That didn't, she took a dish rag and pow! Yep, that was, you know what I mean? And then I remember saying something under my breath going around the corner, man, and I don't know, she must have been related to Wonder Woman, because that slipper come around that corner, bust me in the back of my head. She said, "I heard that." So it was, and she was more the disciplinary, my mom was. My dad gave you a good talking to, slap you on your, he would slap you on your hand, don't do it again. But I think I got tore up one time. I think I got tore up by him one time. Yeah, I got tore up. Yeah, I just, you test the waters a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah, I think I tested the waters.
You want to see him get away with it. You want to see him get away with it.
I think I tested the waters a little bit. But just watching him, and like I said, he wasn't that, let's go to the park, play catch. He wasn't that, I think I don't know who, everybody decided to buy him a pair of sneakers one time. I think he wore them for a day and that was it. Never wore them again. Never wore them again.
Yeah.
Khakis, pants pressed, cap on, white t-shirt. And, I remember me and Pastor was living together. I was going to work. She said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to work." She's like, you shine your boots? Like, yeah. Crease in my jeans. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Because that's what I saw.
Yeah. We don't realize the things that are imparted to us just from watching, observation and their consistency.
Yeah, like everything was always ironed, crisp.
Yes.
Creases.
Yes, sir.
And so now, that got ingrained in me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he was going to the store, and I tried to jump in the car with him. He said, "No, son, you're too shabby.
Yeah.
You gotta go fix up.
Yeah.
You gotta clean up. And so he had that standard. You're not going with me looking any kind of way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm of age. No, you're not going to with me looking a kind of way.
That's right.
Go change your clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we can
You're
go.
not wearing pajamas.
You're not. No. We're not doing that.
Beat up sweatpants.
No, we're not doing that.
That's right.
So that and now you look at the landscape today. None of that applies anymore. None of that applies.
No.
I mean, you basically can jump out of bed, go to the store, pajamas on, male and female. That standard is just not there anymore.
Yeah.
We're just, it's gone,
Yeah.
But when you have that father there, and regardless of the generation from generation to generation, because I know things change from generation to generation, but what's being instilled in you, it's in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in you.
Prime example, right? We talk about, standards that your father set, right?
Yeah.
So my dad, like I said, he worked like Saturdays. If we weren't on a job, we were doing side work. He would lots of times be in places where people would have. He would go to fix one issue and they'd have. So we would go back on Saturday off the clock and fix like for elderly people and stuff. And he would do all this work in their house, and we would be there helping him and stuff. But came Sunday, like what he went through in his life, even making it through the war.
Yeah.
We honor God in this house. You didn't dress any kind of way. You wore good clothes to church. You sat in the front. You sat up. If you catch you sleeping or nodding off, you get one, right? You respected God, right? You respected the church, and we ate together every Sunday. If nothing else, we ate together every night. But Sunday was like there was nothing going on. We weren't running here. We weren't running there, and we had dinner. The best meal of the week was always Sunday.
Could you imagine now trying to everybody? Come on, it's Sunday dinner now.
My brother, boy,
goodness.
Dinner's at 5:30. You ain't here on time. You can warm it up later. Like he don't play. He's the same way. He don't play that game. But I respect that.
It's respect that. What's for dinner? I don't want this.
Right.
I don't want that.
Right.
What? No.
I want to eat in here. I want to eat upstairs.
I want to eat in here. I want to go. No. It wasn't none of that. It was not none of that.
And there's standards that we don't realize keep the family close.
Yeah.
Right? Because we would talk. We would communicate.
Yeah, those small things kept that family dynamic
because
together.
we're all still close because of that.
Yeah.
You know, we're all still close because we share what was going on, and I knew what was going on with my sisters, and they knew what was going on with us.
Like for us, for my family, of course, we're all older. Everybody got their own family. But for us, it's nothing for us to. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
Pull out a grill.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the whole backyard is full.
Yeah.
Next thing, start out with a couple of hamburgers, a good hot dog. Next thing you know, man, it's full.
Yeah.
And because we grew up, together like that.
Yeah.
Christmas time, holidays, always a big meal, different things like that. So it's when you talk about fellowship and when you talk about, even now my nieces can throw things together just like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we cooking. Oh, what you doing? You coming in? All right, what you got? I bring this. I bring that. I bring this. I bring that. And and that all started from my mom and dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nothing now to just funny story. I'm going to close with this. Funny story when it was when my uncle. I had to go to Detroit. Right, I had to go to Detroit.
I remember that.
For my uncle's funeral.
Right.
And Minister Bookman and Deacon Parkwell and my older sister Gwen would all drive down. So we at the funeral and stuff, and I'm listening to people talk about my uncle, and it's like, he helped us pay the church off. Like, he went out there, cooked dinners, and that's how we paid our church off. I'm like, what? I'm like, get out of here. Then somebody else come up. Yeah, he helped us pay off our church. He cooked dinners for us and da-da-da-da. So I'm thinking about my brother Terry now. like, is that where he get all that grilling from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just able to just, okay, yeah, we're gonna throw some meat on the grill, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And the cooking and all of that stuff like that, I'm like, man, I was like, really? Like, I never knew that about my uncle. But apparently he helped a lot of people out. I mean, that was just what he did. You know, he just knew how to, you know, prep and prepare those meals and, you know, different things like that. And I didn't, I never knew that.
You said something to me a long time ago, and I'll never forget it. You said to me, when you go to a funeral and you see all the people at the funeral, that's fruit of that person's life.
Yeah.
And stories like that, like when my father passed, sure, people come up, your dad will come in and your dad would do this, and your dad would do that, and your dad, and you start hearing these stories, and because they didn't do it for recognition, they did it because that was their character.
Yeah.
They did it because they saw something that had to be fixed. Because they were like, okay, if something's broken, fix it, right? They didn't look at something that was falling apart and not do something about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They didn't look at
or see something broke and you go.
They didn't look at the neighbors. They didn't look at the neighbor's fence and it was falling in, and we didn't go over there and do something about it. You know, so that's kind of what you right there.
I never knew that. I'm like, man, is that where we get that from?
And that's what's getting lost in the translation, the father-son relationship. That you talk about wisdom, you had the whole series on wisdom. That life wisdom, right? That wisdom that a father can only give to a son isn't being passed down. Right. That you know, manlyhood, you know, accountability. You look out for people. You know, you don't let a widow, you don't let an older woman. We'd be across the street shoveling cars out for all the you don't wait for someone else to do it. And that's not getting passed down. That's not getting imparted to the younger generations.
You know, and that right there, and you know, it's so essential and so key. You know,
naturally or spiritually.
You know, but I just remember that story of people telling how my uncle cooked and sold dinners and helped them pay their church off and different things like that. I'm like, man, I said, wow. You know, it was pretty interesting. And now, like my brother Terry, I mean, he
picked the mantle up.
Oh, did he? I mean, he's a bad man when it comes down to grilling, you know, different things like that. So, and even my family, my sisters, I mean, put a whole meal together and different things like that, you know, and just invite people over and, you know, and that's how we were, you know, brought up.
Yes, sir.
That's how we were raised. You know, but that story there, man, I'm sitting there like, wow. I'm in story after story after story after story. And
it blesses your soul because you realize that their life, because when you do things and you're not doing it for recognition, but it does impact people, it's a different kind of impact. Right? Because you're not doing it for that. And like, you know, it's just that generation was different. You know what I mean? And that's not getting passed down. You know what I mean? You can look each generation. You can see it starting to kind of slip away. There's a few that are trying to hold on to it. Right?
Like you said. And if you're polite holding up a door,
start with that.
You crazy, man.
Right? You see people on the side of the road. Pull over. You need help. You're broken down. You need help. What does that mean? You're on the road. Get the four ways on. You're digging through the car for something. Something's going on. You want to fix your car.
And even with that, you gotta inspect them to make sure they really legitimately broke down because you got all kind of crazy things going on in the day. You know what I mean? But those core values from a father I think is really, really important. Listen, guys, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And please meet us here again next Thursday because you know, Father's Day don't last that long. You know, so again, thank you guys for tuning in on tonight. Pastor Parker, Pastor Dorner, and if you're in the neighborhood, we're here on Sunday morning, 11 a.m., 199 North True Road. Stop in if you're free to worship with us on Sunday, fellowship with us. This Sunday is our first Sunday fellowship dinner. And if you're looking for somewhere to worship, please stop on in. After the service, we'll be
Yes, sir.
celebrating. We're not celebrating. We're celebrating Koinonia.
Yeah.
It is first Sunday,
Yes.
so we'll be eating dinner immediately after the service, and you are more than welcome. Until then, God bless you and have a safe and enjoyable evening. Thank you for tuning in.